I've been having an interesting discussion with one of our community members here, a subscriber to the channel, about the difference between the way that I present semen retention and some of the other guys in this space. Now, in no way, shape, or form is this meant to diminish anybody else's work. I think no matter why you're practicing semen retention, it's a positive step for this world and it will have a positive impact. But I do want to talk about the difference between the devoted man or the man of God and why he practices semen retention, as opposed to the materialistic man and why he practices semen retention. Let's get into it. Hi, my name is Nakula Das, and I help men master their S3X energy so you can become a powerhouse both in and outside the bedroom. Go to the link in the description below and take the free transmutation guide as a starting point to learn to master your S3X energy. Now, there are two schools of thought that are dominant within the NoFap semen retention movement. And again, one school of thought is just different and the goals are different. And this is the difference between the impersonalist and the personalist. And this is a timeless philosophical debate. Guys from India know this debate. In India, there are two main sections of spiritual thought. One is called Mayavadi, and one is called Vaishnava. Vaishnava sees God as the goal of life, that the goal of life is to serve God, and God is a personal entity that is separate to us, but we are part of him. Just like a father and a son. So a father is his own separate being, but the qualities of the father are imprinted in the son. So there is a relationship between father and son. So hence Jesus was a personalist. Jesus would have been a personalist. He preached that he is part of God. I and my father are one, like a son and father are one. They're part of the same unit and family, but at the same time, God is distinctly different than me, and I am distinctly different to God. This relationship becomes a relationship in which naturally, once you understand this at a deeper level, you realize that my purpose of my life is to serve God. Like a son who realizes, well, the purpose of my life is to honor my father, to carry on my father's legacy. And this could be passed down generation to generation to generation. So this type of mood or spirit is a spirit or a philosophy in which you recognize and realize that God is part of you, you are part of God, but God simultaneously is the person in control, and that he is a person with a personality and that has a plan or desire for your life. It gives you tremendous amounts of purpose. And this is why I am a personalist. I have realized God. I have seen God, not with my physical eyes, but with my energy. I have heard him in my heart. And I have heard his desires, and I have heard when he is not pleased with me as well. I have done things that God is not happy with me. But God is a loving God. Like a father can forgive his son, God forgives you because he has that much love for you. So no matter what you've done, you can get right with God. In the Christian tradition, they call it reconciliation. You can get right with God. And so I've realized this in my own life. That's why I openly speak about God, and I will openly speak about my faith in God. And I won't deny that aspect anymore. The impersonalist has realized that he is part of God, so they say things like, I am the light, and we are all one. It sounds nice in like kind of a sentimental way, but you'll notice that the impersonalist will always end up turning back to pleasure and not a higher purpose. They will live life to empower themselves as opposed to living life to please God. Now, again, choose your path. Choose what makes sense for you. I've chosen my path, and that's it. I'm sold. You may be wondering, what are the differences? And again, this is born out of a conversation that I've been having with one of our subscribers, because the guy who taught me semen retention, actually, and alchemy, is, I would say, is an impersonalist. And again, I love him. I honor him. He's doing amazing work for men. This is no way meant to discredit anybody within our movement that's doing amazing work. I think anybody who is practicing this lifestyle is a cut above the rest of men. But the difference between the way I present it and others is based upon how much we acknowledge God as and our relationship with God. So the Taoist philosophy, which much of the alchemy practices that I teach come from, philosophically is actually an impersonalist philosophy, meaning they see everything as a void, meaning everything comes from a void. Everything doesn't come from an intelligent source. And because of that, they tend to teach semen retention heavier based on the S3X pleasure side, meaning how to experience more pleasure, how to have non-ejaculatory orgasms. I also teach those things because the reality is you will have more pleasure when you practice semen retention. Yes, you can last as long as you want in the bedroom. My programs show guys how to last as long as they want, how to have non-ejaculatory S3X, how to have non-ejaculatory orgasms. But it's not the final goal. It's like along the way, you get to experience these pleasures, but it doesn't become the root of the goal. When you buy into an impersonalist philosophy, because there's nothing outside of yourself or your own gain, you will eventually turn to more and more S3X activity. I went through a period where I also did this, where I started practicing. I started circulating my energy. I started recognizing how much S3X I could have, how much power comes with it, and how it could be used to actually exploit more pleasure. But eventually that ran dry because eventually it's like, well, then what is there? What else now? And that's why the impersonalist philosophy eventually leads men, and you can see it in the teachings, they'll start to hone more and more on the pleasure side of things, and then they can get so many women, or they can have some of the guys that I don't follow anymore, because now they're talking about how they can, get threesomes and how they can do all this stuff and how they're trying to enhance more and more pleasure, more and more bodily pleasure, which is actually anchoring them more and more into a bodily form of existence and not a spiritual form of existence. Now, the devotee, the Vaishnava, the personalist, when we practice semen retention, yes, you will experience more power in the bedroom. Yes, you will be able to experience non-ejaculatory and multiple full body orgasms. Yes, you will. But it's not the central focus. The central focus is actually unleashing the gifts that God has given you so you can serve Him. See, I don't believe at all in my relationship with God, and so far my experience of God says, yes, I don't think He denies pleasure. Ananda means pleasure. So this is a Sanskrit word. God is Satchidananda Vigraha. Satchidananda means full of knowledge, full of bliss, pleasure, and eternal. And Vigraha means complete. He is whole and complete. There is nothing outside of Him. So God is Satchidananda Vigraha. He is eternal, full of bliss, pleasure. That's His natural state. He's full of knowledge. He has all knowledge. And He's Vigraha. He is the sum total of all that exists. Human beings are Satchidananda, but not Vigraha, meaning Satchidananda, meaning they also are full of knowledge, full of pleasure, bliss, and eternal. The soul is eternal. So you are like a god. Jesus said, ye are gods, ye are like gods. Not you are God, but you are like gods. You are made in the image of God. The soul has all the qualities of God: beauty, strength, wisdom, power, renunciation or self-control, intelligence, wealth. These are all of God's qualities, all the things that we're attracted to. Hence, we become attracted to God. The name Krishna means the all-attractive. The name Bhagavan means the ultimate, the supreme personality. And we are part and parcel, or made in his image. So we are devoted to him, but we have his qualities in us, meaning, and some of us have more qualities than others. Some of you are extremely intelligent. Some of you are beautiful and good looking. Some of you are strong, like, Bhishma, like strong, like a bull, Some of you are, some of us are wealthy. We just have that quality, wealth is attracted to us. We all have qualities of God. And the more that you serve God, the more you get closer to him, all of those qualities begin to emanate. The closer you stand to a fire, you get the quality of the fire. You become full of light and heat. The closer you get to God, the closer, the more of all those qualities begin to shine in your life. But God is not physical, so getting closer to him doesn't mean going to a certain location. It's going closer to him in consciousness. So the way that I present semen retention, because I am a devotee of God, I am a servant of God, is ultimately designed for you to not experience more physical pleasure, even though you will, and that is your natural state, pleasure. It's why you're searching for it. You're searching for yourself, Ananda. You're searching for God through pleasure. I don't focus so much on how much S3X you can have, or how you can, all the fantasies you can play out. There was a time I did focus on that, because it's kind of like it's like a kid getting a gun for the first time. You just start shooting off like an idiot, and I was an idiot for a certain amount of time and started shooting off these ridiculous things. But because I am solidified in my realization of God, I teach semen retention and I present it for its true essence, which is self-mastery, self-control, unleashing your God-given talents, so that you can then serve God, vigraha, the whole. And that plays out in our everyday life as serving, our wife, or serving our kids by providing for them and protecting them, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, by serving the community or our nations, by praying, worshiping, by understanding deeper philosophical concepts so we can become wiser. This is the true meaning of semen retention. This is the true purpose. And this is the difference between the personalist and the impersonalist, the Vaishnava or the Mayavadi, or essentially the atheist and the God-centered individual. So you choose. You've got basically two dominant philosophies on this planet: the Mayavadi or atheist philosophy, which says, I am God, and the world is here to serve me, and I'm going to try to get as much pleasure out of the world. Or the personalist, the devotee, the God-centered person that says, I am not the center. God is the center. My job is to serve God, to get to know him, to reestablish and reconcile my relationship with him. And I will use my life to live a life of purpose. And part of that will be pleasure, but that will naturally come to me as God wants to grant it. I will not go after it, but it's there. It's just not the center. I hope that further, it's a deep topic. I mean, I can run a whole week seminar just on this topic, but I won't. We don't have a week here. So, if you've got questions, definitely, leave them in the comments. Leave your questions, leave your thoughts, your opinions as well. It's an open discussion. And, if you're ready to take on the practice of semen retention and alchemy for the purpose of serving God and discovering your purpose and relationship with him, then reach out to me and connect. I'd love to share with you our programs, our trainings, and how we can help you become an amazing leader and live a life of purpose. I'll see you on the next video.